what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it, and we hope you enjoy it.
You have the headline there that, gosh, unfortunately, it's like, okay, we,
Well, for those
we'll
that
deal with
can't
it again.
see, it's news that broke immediately after the show yesterday on the SEC Conference telecast. I'll be interested to see in Brian Kelly's media availability today, if he ends up filling it in any more, giving us any more detail. But John Emery, quote, unavailable for the Florida State game, third year in a row in which Emery has been unavailable for various reasons. It's odd because it seems like talking to people outside of the LSU ecosystem, some think that this is a big deal. But if you listen to Scone and T yesterday, where we kind of got to talk about it right after it broke, this didn't really move the needle for me at all. When you hear Mason Smith is out, that's pretty critical. That's enough to, if you feel worse about, like, if you don't feel great about this game, and Mason Smith being out is enough to maybe even tip the scales where you think Florida State will win. John Emery being out is just kind of, I don't know. It's just kind of
your third year in a
nothing
row.
burger.
When you have it as a third year in a row situation, it's like one of those deals where you kind of have a plan without John Emery. And, and I know he missed time, too. He missed, all of spring this year as well. And so, very talented player. And, look, a good kid. I do want to get that out there. And I know that there's some things that he needs to work on, but a good kid. And I want to see him thrive on the football field. But this is the third year in a row. So, it's almost one of those things that you can't count on at this point. And you do have 8 scholarship running backs as well. And I'm sure that was one of the points that y'all made. And it's a position that was always going to rotate. It was always going to be a by-committee type situation. Now, you probably had 4 guys that were going to be featured. Now that goes down to 3 with other options available.
Yeah, so it's like, the bottom line is that Emery was a small piece of the game plan anyway. Maybe there's a world where, like, he came in, got the hot hand, made the big plays and everything. Like we've seen him flash against Alabama at times. And so maybe that's what ended up happening. But again, that's a maybe. That was something you were sitting hearing and expecting or relying upon. So it just kind of is what it is. It's still down to Logan Diggs, Noah Cain, Josh Williams to get the job done. But it was already going to be down to those guys. Like Jake said, just maybe with Emery added in. And when you look at this LSU offense, the running backs are never going to be the driving force, right? They just need to be able to do enough. Everything in this offense will center around Jaden Daniels. His decision-making, as we'll talk about, his ability to create explosive plays, which I thought Wilson Alexander had a pretty good write-up today kind of discussing that. But yeah, decision-making, creative explosive plays with his arms and with his legs. Like, Jaden Daniels is the key. The running backs have to do enough to kind of support him, make the plays when they have to kind of take pressure off of him.
One of the things to pay attention to, though, as we're talking about Emery being out, Josh Williams has missed basically all of camp.
Yeah.
And so you don't have a back that's in his best form right now. And so maybe it gets a little worrisome right there, the fact that you've got Logan Diggs, who's just coming over from Notre Dame. You've got Noah Cain, who now's been here for a full year. But no Emery, Josh Williams, no real training camp. Now, you've got some freshmen, and Trey Holly and Caleb Jackson have gone out there. They've played well. But as we all know, that's like one of those positions where coaches are so terrified that they'll make a mistake. They don't typically play true freshmen, certainly in the first game, but you might have to in this game. If Josh Williams goes out there and he's not fully healthy, Caleb Jackson is somebody that flashed in a scrimmage. He's flashed at practice. Put the ball on the ground a couple of times as well. So you have to take all that into account because, no, the offense does not center around the running back, and this is not the former running back trying to lift this position group up. But there were certainly games last year where the running backs had to go out there and be a part of why you won the game. Arkansas game, when you could get nothing going offensively, It was the running backs that kind of won that one for you. Plays like Josh Williams, overtime against Alabama, where he has the block to spring Jaden Daniels. So it's without the ball in your hands as well. This group needs to be counted on. Right now, you're down one body. You don't know the health of Josh Williams. So Logan Diggs, you got to step up. This coaching staff, they know you. They've coached you before. They've recruited you before. So he's going to be somebody to pay attention to. Noah Cain is what Noah Cain is, which, he's the downhill runner. He's a short yardage runner. He's the guy who gets you the tough yards. And so we could see Logan Diggs in his first game in a Tiger uniform be the feature back.
It feels like that would make the most sense outside looking in right now. And look, when I talk about the running backs, not being the engine, they have to make those type of plays. Like, if it's 4th and goal from the 1, the running back has to be able to punch it in. If you mentioned the lead block of the Jaden Daniels run. Yes, I just mean that it's not like you're sitting here and this is, I guess the first that jumps to mind is like the Kenneth Walker-led Michigan State team of a couple of years ago, where it's like you were only going as far as Kenneth Walker went. This is you're going to go as far as Jaden Daniels.
He was so good.
Goes. He was really, really good.
Would you put a true freshman who has flashed in training camp in a game like this in a big moment?
No, because again, the flash, you're putting him in because of the flash saying, so you're saying like, okay, so I believe that like he has a potential to hit the home run, but I don't need home runs. I need good at bats, right? I need discerning at bats. I need you to be willing to take walks.
We need a choke and poke, a little 2-strike approach.
Look, bro, I know some of y'all are no small ball ever, but like you may need to advance the runners at some point. So no, I don't need superstar play. I need solid team play from that group. And I believe you can get that. Honestly, I believe you can get that out of just Logan Diggs and Noah Cain, though I think, like you said, if Josh Williams isn't available, then that's when you do start to become more worried, certainly.
For the pass protection portion of it.
Definitely with those 3, though. If you have Williams, Cain, and Diggs, I'm not worried about it. Emery makes you better, but it's not in the way that a Mason Smith makes you better, where it's potentially like a pretty massive difference. It makes you maybe a couple percentage points better having Emery. So I'm not overly it doesn't mean I'm not concerned about the game. I don't view this as a factor in changing the outcome of the game, if that makes sense. Like, whatever my feelings were before the Emery news are what they still remain right now, which is pretty damn even, with maybe the deciding factor being Brian Kelly. I was thinking about it this morning. If all things are held equal, and if I think both teams are very well constructed, they both have Heisman candidate quarterbacks, both have All-American defensive players that probably will get drafted in like the top 10, top 20. But they have great receivers rooms. We talk about it all week. We know how good they both are on the field. There's really no great advantage to be found on paper, save for maybe the LSU secondary trying to keep up with those FSU wide receivers. But it's essentially equal. And so the question becomes, okay, what's going to decide this game? And at that point, you kind of got to look at Brian Kelly and say, okay, this is why you make $10 million a year.
Yep.
This is why you went out and you sacrificed so much to make this happen and bring Kelly to LSU, is to win these sort of games. This is why he's been crafting this process for his entire adult career for 30, 40 years, however long it's been now, because this is a process that if all things are held equal, your team should be more ready than the other team. And they were not last year, but there were some easily to explain factors, right? Everybody was new. It had been basically like 7 months, 8 months since everybody had been here. Like, it was all brand new. You cannot make that excuse this year. So again, if all things held equal, this is why Brian Kelly's paid so much. Like, his weight and experience needs to be felt.
It's if you go down the matchups and you're going position, like, this game feels so even. It really does. Where they're strong, you're strong. Where they have a little weakness, it feels like you might have a little weakness. And then so you go to the coaching line. You go to, okay, which coach do you trust in an even matchup? And you do bring in BK for this point. And Doring and I were talking about it yesterday. This is why he's here. His resume is what it is. Mike Norvell had a great year last year, but he's only really done it for that year in this Power 5 kind of setting. He's done it at Memphis. And so, like, this is somebody that you have to, in these games, you have to give the edge to. And last year, first game, all over the place, a little bit sloppy game. But now that you're locked in, now that you've got a year under your belt, now that you've had a nice little run in your first year, you're going to give the full advantage to BK. And again, that's what he said. That's why he's here. That's why he came to LSU, to be in games like this.
Yeah, so it's a great prove-it chance because, again, you're not going to get and nor should you, the rope that you got last year where everything looked very sloppy, but it was, again, there were actually justifiable explanations for that sloppiness. Not the case this year. There is no excuse. Team needs to come out and they need to look tighter, and they need to look more ready, and they need to execute at a higher level than FSU. That's just that just is what it is. And I think BK would be the first to tell you that, right? I don't think he's under any illusion that he should get some sort of leeway. With great money comes great expectation. Everybody knows that. With this school comes great expectation. He's talked about it since day one, a national championship expectation. Jay Johnson knew it. Kim Mulkey knew it. Look at what they did, and now Brian Kelly on the eve of year number 2, going to look to do the same thing that those two did. Wow, Jake, what incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.